Thank you for the question in the chat. We are going to answer that question for you as part of our presentation. If you don't get the particular information you're looking for, by all means, you can unmute your microphone and share out loud during our question and answer portion, or you can put your follow-up question in the chat. But we'll definitely have an opportunity to speak a lot about what COVID testing for Thursday in the school building will look like.
So tell me something, if you did take the injection, you want to
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We're going to get started right now. I appreciate everyone for joining us. Hopefully everyone is doing safe. Hope everyone is doing well. And I thank you once again for joining us for our hybrid family presentation. There's a number of different things we're going to discuss. I know there was a number of different pieces of information that were shared with you recently. We're going to try our best to provide a level of clarity when it comes to those specific things, and of course, create opportunities to hear your questions, comments, or concerns. So I know people may have wonderings about COVID testing on Thursday, state exam, any potential changes coming up. We're going to do our best to run through all of those things right now. So Steph, let's head to our first slide. All right, we're going to start with some big headlines of the week. There's a number of things that are going on that I just mentioned. We're going to start off by just giving us some information about what those things are, dig into ELA state exams, which are happening for 3rd through 5th grade only. It is happening for ELA this month, math next month, and science in June. We're going to be sharing some information about that. Also, when it comes to us going into hybrid instruction, there will be some schedule changes. We're going to talk to you about those small schedule changes that won't dramatically alter or shift the specific things your child is presently doing. Give everyone some information about hybrid learning, especially when it comes to all the things we're doing to ensure that your child is safe when they're in our building. And as always, creating opportunities to hear your questions, to provide answers to those questions, and of course, listen to your feedback. All right. So Steph, let's dive into our first slide.
All right, so perfect. I'm unmuted. So a couple of events this week. Just like last time when we were reopening, teachers need to get back into the building and make sure that their boards are all set up, their materials are prepped. And for that reason, this Thursday and Friday will again be asynchronous learning days. So what that means is just like Monday, yesterday, students will come in for morning meeting at 8 a.m. and then complete asynchronous work that is posted on their Google Classroom. But this time around, teachers that are going to be fully remote and teaching fully remote students will be holding office hours. They will hold some small groups, as well as I know that some teachers will be using that time to meet with families to discuss progress reports as our term is almost over and term 4 is coming up next week. In the meantime, hybrid teachers will be in the building. Like I said, just making sure that everything is set up and that they're ready for everybody to return on Monday. Another big event this week that I know many of you have already signed up for, which is great, is our COVID testing at Empower with Lasante. This will be happening from 12 to 3, and it's for upper and lower schools. In order to guarantee yourself a spot, it is very important for you to have signed our COVID-19 consent form. This is that Google form that allows you to tell us that you are allowing your child to get COVID tested before you come into the building. You must fill this out even if you plan to get tested somewhere else. It is your acknowledgement that you understand that before entering the building for the first time, you will need to have your child COVID-19 tested, and then are agreeing to adhering to the randomized testing that will go on while we are still in the building. What that random testing looks like is, I would say at most you will be randomly selected once a month so that we can get about half of our population randomly selected and tested each month. When you are selected, you will be notified at the beginning of the week, and you have 7 days to send us a COVID test or opt into our the testing that we will continue to do each week in our school. And so that is why it's very convenient if you are coming in this week from 12 to 3, because once you've pre-registered, Lasante has your information, and anytime your child is randomly selected for a COVID test, you can opt into them just getting the test during the school day, meaning that they are picked up from their classroom and they go get the test and then they go right back to class, and you don't have to do anything on your end. And so it is a really great option because it doesn't disrupt or require anything of you outside of the school day. But again, you must fill out 2 separate forms. One of them is an Empower Lower consent form. The second is the Lasante pre-registration form. It is where they ask you for your insurance. Now, if you don't provide them with the insurance, that's okay. Know that they want to know if you have insurance, please provide it to them, but they're not denying people without insurance, which is unlike some of the previous health centers that we had. I will pause here because I do feel like a lot of people are here to ask about this day. Jonathan, what do you think? Is it okay if we pause here just so we can get all the testing questions out the way?
Sure, let her rip. I know Sosa was the last name. I know you have had a question in the chat. If the information we shared didn't answer your question, if you want to unmute your mic or put a follow-up question in the chat, you can. But if there's anyone else that has something specific about what we just shared, you can ask that question now. Steph, I'm not sure if you're able to put those
Absolutely
in the chat now so people can have it, but I'll stop talking and allow people to share any questions that they may have. All right, I did my typical 10-second countdown in my brain and I didn't hear anything. So Steph, I could take the next one when it comes to state exams. That's gonna be a fun talk.
awesome. And I'll put those links in the chat.
All right, if you are a kindergarten through 2nd grade parent, what I'm about to share over the next 3 slides will not directly affect you or your child, but if you are a 3rd to 5th grade family, please pay special attention to the information I'm about to share. One, I do want to stamp the fact that we are doing ELA math and science state exams is not a decision that I made at Empower. It's not a decision that the superintendents made at Explore. This was a decision that came from much higher than us. And therefore, even though we tried to apply for a waiver so the state of New York would not have to do state exams, nevertheless, we are at the point where the decision was made that 3rd through 8th grade, but for our school, 3rd through 5th grade students will be taking the ELA state exam at the end of the month, the math state exam in May, and then the science state exam in June. But to stamp and to clearly stamp, this is an optional assessment for your child. If you do not want your child to take the ELA math or science assessment, you can fill out the family preference letter that's been sent out to families earlier this week and select that you do not want your child to opt in to the assessment. There is no consequence if you make the decision to opt your child out of the state exam. It will not impact your child's record moving forward. The test data is only going to be gathered for informational purposes, only for the state and the federal government. If you're hearing that and you're like, that sounds good, but I don't trust them, my child still doesn't take the exam, by all means, you claim your child on your taxes. That means you get the right to make that decision. This is 100% your decision if you would like your child to take the ELA, math, and science state exam. This is only for this year only. Hopefully next year we go back to a normal school year and then the same rules that applied of all students taking the ELA and math state exam in 2022. But as of right now, since this is a special circumstance, this is the parameters that we have. All right, Steph, next slide, please. All right, considering the fact that this is a different way that we're doing the state exam, individual schools have the choice of identifying the specific date that students will take the state exam. Ms. James, we're going to follow up with you to make sure you got that document soon. So considering the fact that as a school, we have the flexibility to choose when we do the assessment, we have a date range that it has to be done. In order for us to come up with a particular date, this is why it's important for everyone to fill out that family preference letter, for us to see how many families are choosing to have their child take the state exam, and then we can figure out the specific date that we're able to accommodate those people. And
Mr. Carrington, do you mind if I just clarify a little bit about that? The next slide, so we can just go to the next slide.
Sure. All right, so in the family preference letter that hopefully everyone got, and if you did not get it, we're gonna place it in the chat shortly. For 3rd through 5th grade families, you have a choice. If you are a hybrid family, so I'm assuming most of the people on this call are hybrid families. If you are a 3rd through 5th grade parent and you selected hybrid, unless you let us know that you do not want your child to take the ELA math and science state exam, then your child is automatically in. So you will need to opt out of the state exam if you selected hybrid instruction. So I'm going to say that one more time because I want to make sure everyone is clear. If you are a hybrid parent of a 3rd through 5th grade student, you will need to opt out of the assessment and using that form in order for your child not to take the assessment. If you happen to be a remote family who are on this call right now, you will need to specifically fill out that document and opt in to taking the assessment. Considering the fact that most of us, if not all of us, are hybrid parents, if you do not want your child to take that state exam, then you will need to make sure you fill out that family preference letter and choose that you do not want your child to participate in the state exam. Steph, was there anything you wanted to add?
Nope, that was exactly it. That if we do not hear from you, again, if you want your child to take the test and you are hybrid, there are no actions. You're automatically put in to get the test. Some of you have already emailed me. I've had about 4 families email me saying want to opt their families out. If you would like to optate your child out of the state exam,
Mhm.
I'm putting into the chat right now is the same link. I know there's a lot of forms and I'm trying my best to give you the information so that it's all digestible because there's like 10 different forms I know we've thrown at you. But this one I will make sure I highlight again tomorrow.
Mhm. Also, one more thing to stamp, this is really important that we're able to get this information by Friday, because if for some reason we have 80 different families who want their child to take the state exam, that means we'll need to spread these children out across various classrooms on our floor, and that could affect whether or not our younger grades, K through 2, will be coming into the building on that designated date for the state exam. So this is why it's super important for all 3 through 5 families, hybrid and remote, to fill out that family preference form so we have an accurate understanding of exactly how many students we need to prepare in order to take this assessment. All right. Steph, we can go to the next slide and then we'll open it up for questions.
I'm Isabella's mother. I have a question.
Yes.
What about if I decided to, Isabella, make the test, so you will prepare it more or just on the class?
What I've heard is that if you decide to take the test, the level of preparation is that the preparation will be the same, because we do have the ELA state exam that is coming up in the end of April. Students have also been working to get better on another assessment that we're going to take, which is the ELA dress rehearsal. And I want to make sure that I separate the two. The ELA state exam is something that is from the federal level that we have to do, and that is something that you can opt out of. The ELA dress rehearsal is an in-school assessment, just like math interim assessment, just like a ELA IA. It's the same type of test that students have been working and preparing. Pretty much they're going to read a text, answer questions, and complete a short answer response. The ELA dress rehearsal will happen the week of April 19th, in 2 weeks. There's no opting out of that because that is an in-school assessment, and we do a variety of in-school assessments. The ELA dress rehearsal will be from Tuesday, April 20th, all the way until Friday, April 23rd. We don't anticipate students taking 4 days, but we want to give enough time, especially for makeup assessments, to happen. So to stamp, the ELA dress rehearsal, that is not something that you can opt out of. That is an in-school assessment. That is happening starting on April 20th to April 23rd. That's just the normal assessments we do every couple months to see how students are progressing. The ELA state exam that we haven't landed on a specific date yet because we need to find out the number of people who are going to take the assessment. I believe that was a question. That assessment, the ELA state exam, will happen the last week in April. So it's the ELA dress rehearsal from 420 to 423. No opt-out. Everyone is going to be working hard to do our best on that, grades 3 through 5. Then it's the ELA state exam from the federal level. That's happening the following week. That is what the family preference letter is about, and that is something that families can choose to opt out of.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carrington.
Afternoon, good afternoon.
Yes, my question is based on what Empower has been doing, the school has been doing. Do you think, because I am asking from your professional opinion, I don't know necessarily the content or the curriculum or which the exams are actually structured under. So I know that Empower prepares the students to work above the level, right? But we have to take into consideration all the things that has occurred due to COVID and all of that. So would you recommend, if I'm looking for an opinion, would you recommend for a child to write the state exam?
I wanted to Got it. I'm gonna be as direct as
I
possible.
put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Specifically, like I wouldn't want to recommend either way or another, but I'll come back to your original point.
I don't
like-
think you can, Mr. Carrington.
I know.
Legal-
I'm trying to wiggle out of
legal-
it.
I think,
Hold on, I got it.
yeah, you got it, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I practice this. I think when it comes to the assessment itself, if you're a 3rd through 5th grade parent and you see the type of closed reading passages that your students are doing every day in ELA for closed reading, that is the state exam. It's going to be a passage. Students will read the passage, do their JOTs, their main idea, the same thing that they've been doing the entire school year, and then answer multiple choice questions, and then answer short answer response. There's probably going to be 3 or 4 of those passages on the ELA state exam, and then on the dress rehearsal. So then as the question is like, are students prepared? Yes, because the ELA dress rehearsal that everyone is taking is going to be harder than the state exam. Why? Because the state exam is only going to be multiple choice questions. The dress rehearsal, which no one can opt out of, which everyone has been actively preparing to work with students on. Shout out to all the 3rd through 5th grade teachers and the learning specialists who have been working tirelessly to make sure students have the skills to be successful. The dress rehearsal features multiple choice and short answer responses. So if students are prepared for the dress rehearsal, they'll be prepared for the state exam. Now, since I can't recommend, I'll just dance around it, but still answer your question. I'm not a parent, but if I wasn't,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm
You
not a
answered it
parent.
very well.
No, I'm about to. If I'm not a parent, if I wasn't a parent, my child wouldn't take the test. I'll opt them out. Honestly, that's just my thoughts. If I was a parent and if I claim the kid on my taxes, I'll opt my kid out. But you guys can choose to opt your kid in. That is entirely your decision. And that's the closest that I would give to a recommendation for whether or not you should take your child to take the test.
Excuse me, what did you say just now? You said if you are parents?
No, I'm saying I'm not a parent because I can't sit here as a principal and say you should have your child take the test or you shouldn't have your child take the test. Like I can't do that. So I'm trying to answer
All
it.
right, let me ask the question she just asked now is a very, very important question because all of those students watching again on public school, they're taking the test, no? Yes or no?
Yes.
They
They're
have
taking the
the
test.
option of taking the test, but parents can opt them out, just like Power Lower can opt them out. Like everyone has the same choice of, it's not like we are the only school where families can opt their kids out. All families this year have the option of opting their kid out of the state exam.
Is it only for this year?
Only for this year. Considering
Okay, I got you.
the pandemic and everything that is happening. This is
Okay, we got it.
Mhm.
James. Any other questions?
All right, the other question, this is Fasili and Hamadoun Dadi.
Mhm.
The other question just now, I was on the other Zoom which my daughter class watching the 8th grade.
Mhm.
They say watching again on personal learning. They're 8th grade, they're going to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And now watching again 4th grade, they're going Monday and Tuesday. And kindergarten, they're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That,
Well,
I cannot understand that because watching again, if watching I have 3 kids, they're going to the same school. That's mean look like how they're going to the same thing happening for me again because I have to stay home because the one not going to school, watching going to school only for 2 days, I have to stay with him over here.
So I can answer that. So just to clarify, 6th, 8th grade is able to go in Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So just 3 days. No one Wednesday, everybody is fully remote. For kindergarten, they are coming in 4 days, as they're the youngest ones. But the reason that the middle school is able to do 3 days is because they simply have less families opting in to hybrid learning. Meaning that we are still adhering to the 6 feet apart And because of the number of rooms we need for all the families that opted in, we simply, like, that is the only space we have. Meaning that we were able to accommodate kindergarten, and some other families, and a couple of other families that, for 4 days a week. But for the general grades 1 through 5, we literally do not have the space. It's a space thing because we can only have 12 students in a room. And so that's why the middle school is able to do 3 days a week because they can fit their entire like hybrid student body in those days. But we would not be able to at all fit all of the 1st through 5th grade classes. Like, for example, there's a room 501. Just one of the classrooms on Monday and Tuesday is a 5th grade room. But on Thursday and Friday, it's going to be a 4th grade room because there's just not space for both of those grades to come at the same time. I wish there was, because this is much more complicated. It would be much easier if everyone just was here the same days every day. I expect the same children. I would also prefer that.
Okay. You're gonna be
And-
very, very hard. You gotta be very, very hard for those people who have 3 kids on different grade. Very, very hard for them. Because everybody was happy to say, watch them again. Oh, the kids, they're going personnel now and we gotta go to work. Now, if they're going like that, how do you call it? In the beginning, if a lot of people know it was like that, they're gonna say, forget it. You know why? Everybody gonna stay home, watch them again, do the hybrid. Because how do you call it? Me, I have 3 kids. One going to 8th grade, one is on 8, one is on 4, one is in kindergarten. Now watch him again. The one who had it going on 4th grade, he going only for 2-day facility. I have to stay home with him over here because nobody's here. Gotta be the same thing.
Dad, I have a solution for you. You can do one of 2 things. One, if you can hang out at the end of the call, I have a solution that could potentially have your kids come to school on the same days of the week. So it'll be easier for you. Or I can give you a call tomorrow and we can talk through that idea. But I definitely hear
no
your
problem.
concern, and I think I got something that can solve it.
Okay, no problem.
No problem. All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay. Hi, my name is Songozi Anyao. I have 2 kids, Kosi Sochukwu and Amarachi. But my problem, I'm comfortable with, the 4 days for Kosi and then 2 days for Amarachi. That's okay. But my problem is that Kosi qualified for the bus, but Amarachi does not qualify. So how, and luckily Amarachi has school Mondays and Thursdays, and Kosi is also in school then. So how do I do it?
Yeah, so this is because Amarachi is at a grade level where she doesn't qualify. I know this is something that we just have zero control over, and the reason for that is that the DOE sets these parameters, and so anytime we try to put a stop for Amarachi, they already know that the distance code doesn't match her grade level. And so there's a couple of options here. I don't know if you Amarachi is able to get a subway card. And in that same way, so would your son. But there's unfortunately no way for us to, I don't know if Mr. Aikumi is on the call, but I know that Mr. Aikumi has 3 kids and he's had half of them on the bus and then picks up one, just to build some sort of independence, honestly. But that's a real thing for families with multiple kids, especially with quite a few years apart like that.
All right, thank you.
Steph, there was another question along the same lines when it comes to van pickup.
Is there any form of after school or van pickup available? Well, I think those are 2 different questions. So, Miss James, was busing not an option for you? I feel like if you would likely be eligible with kindergarten.
I haven't looked into it, but the last time I looked into, like recently, but the last time I checked in, they were saying that we live kind of out of the way and they would have to create a whole new route for us. So I I'm still looking.
Who is your son or daughter again?
Ethan DeBick, he's in 4th grade.
Oh, yes. That's what I thought. Yes, you are far. You are far. We need to talk offline about the.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would still be the option, but it could be somebody else. So let's talk offline. because there
Well,
will be
definitely.
a few situations, not to get technical with everybody here, but basically the DOE allows us 5 miles of bus route. And so if we go beyond those 5 miles, we don't get the bus stops. So we try to get the bus stops that will cater to the most students. But with situations where a family is just a little too far from a bus stop, but not too far from our school, we do work to figure out some sort of van scholarship. So yes, we'll talk offline.
Okay.
Please just remind me, because I want to make sure that we do this right this time.
Got it. All right, if there's no more questions, and thank you for all the clarity, appreciate it. If there are not any more additional questions about state exam, and if some pop in your brain, there'll be a portion at the end to ask follow-up questions. Steph, let's move on to the next section of our presentation.
So just a couple of things happening. Term 4 is starting very soon on April 12th. So this Friday is the last day of term 3. Term 3 report cards will be coming out on emailed home to you. So we've had the family teacher conferences, which is where you've been receiving your last 2 report cards. But just like last year, the report card for term 3 will be emailed to your email. There will be some families that get followed up with if you guys had talks about your child needing additional support. And so that would require just more specific feedback and progress this time around, not necessarily a formal conference, but something along those lines. Then in terms of what term 4 will look like, if you're 100% remote, you will continue to go to your Zoom meetings every single day at 8 a.m. And then for hybrid students that will be coming to the buildings on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays, and we'll learn from Zoom on Wednesdays. There will be schedule changes happening starting April 12th. But for the most part, if you are home, your schedule will still be an 8 to 12 schedule with some small groups in the afternoon. If you are in the building, we will go through exactly when arrival and dismissal are, when lunch is, and so on and so forth. Some of the changes that you might see to the schedule, specifically with small group instruction, as we have some teachers in the building on certain days and some teachers fully remote on other days, they will need to move around their small groups that happen in the afternoons. So if you're currently getting small group instruction on Mondays at 2 o'clock, that might change to Thursdays at 2 o'clock. That is something that each of the teachers will be communicating to you. So that you can know when in the afternoons your child might need to go back into the classroom. And then the order of classes might change, meaning that, skills might have been at the beginning of the day for your class during fully remote time, and now it might be a little bit later in the day. Still between the 8 to 12 if you're fully remote, and sometime during the school day if you're hybrid. And then we have changed around some of the enrichment classes. I know that last time we had this meeting, we had some kinder, 1st and 2nd grade families that really wanted to have dance and PE. And I believe that we have satisfied all of the requests so that if you weren't getting dance in term 3, you will be getting it in term 4. And so all of those schedules are almost finalized and will be on our website. At least by the end of next week, if not sooner. And then for 2nd and 3rd grade, those are the only grades that will really see any Zoom link changes for the days that part of the grade is hybrid, meaning that on Thursdays and Fridays, 2nd graders might be going into a different Zoom link than they normally do. And that is because some of the teachers will be in the building doing hybrid learning. And the same goes for 3rd grade, but on 3rd grade, it'll be on Mondays and Tuesdays. And now this is a portion where we really get into what hybrid learning will look like for hybrid students. So as we all know, it's starting on April 12th. For many of you have been asking, what day is my child coming in? The next two slides are really good visuals on exactly what grades come in when. So if you are on Mondays, kindergarten, first, third, and fifth are coming in. And the same goes for Tuesdays, kindergarten, first, third, and fifth. Thursdays and Fridays, we have kindergarten, second, and fourth. Again, if you have selected hybrid instruction, we expect your child to be in the building on the days that they're supposed to be in person. This is extremely important, and we cannot stress this enough for teacher planning. If a teacher that is remote has 28 students in that Zoom room, they are planning for those specific students, because we do take pride in ensuring that we are thinking about every child and the skills that they need to learn. We understand that life will happen, and we don't want to take learning away from people, meaning if the car broke down and you guys can't get to school, letting us know and as advanced as possible if you ever need to miss an in-person day but still want to attend remote school. It is extremely important that you either communicate in advance, or when we call you in the morning and say, hey, you're not in school, you explain to us exactly where your child is in order to ensure that they're marked present if they, for some reason, need to be in, to stay home that day, but are gonna go to remote school. So here's a visual. This will be sent out again at the end of this, but these are the grades that will be coming in on the different days. Monday, Tuesday, it's K1, 3, and 5. Thursday, Friday, it's K2 and 4.
Steph, can you hold on this slide? I just want to reiterate a point that you made before about how important it is for hybrid families to send their child to school. I think one, to stamp, life is going to happen, and we get it. The only thing that we're asking for is this as much proactive communication as possible. Reason being, if we take second grade, for example, who has one teacher staying home and then 3 teachers coming into the building, because second grade has that many students who families elected hybrid, which is great. But if out of those second grade families who decided to come into the building, if 7 of them decided, hey, I'm gonna keep my child home, but I'm gonna have them go to remote. Second grade only has 1 remote teacher, and now that remote teacher has 30+ students to be able to teach by herself. And that doesn't set her up for success. So the thing is, if you're giving us as advanced notice as possible, then we could potentially allocate another adult to be in that classroom to provide a level of assistance. And the reason why I feel like we need to lean in a little bit more to this, because we had students just blatantly tell us in the fall, yeah, I didn't come to school because I didn't want to. And then it became a huge issue when it comes to taking attendance and finding out where students were at. So considering the fact that we've been doing this for a couple months now, and you've made the choice to have your child come to school for hybrid instruction, we are expecting you to bring your child to school on the designated days for hybrid instruction. But we understand that life happens, we get it. Just try your best to give us as proactive communication as possible, so then we can make the necessary adjustments to make sure all students are set up for success.
Should we go to the next slide?
Yes, indeed, yes.
And I know that some people are messaging me. I will
Mhm.
I will continue answering in a second. But just a little overview of what a hybrid day will look like. Arrival is from 8 to 8:30. Students will come from the Prospect side entrance and go up the stairs, have to get their breakfast right before they go upstairs. Recess for almost every grade will be from 11:20 to 11:50. And in order to keep social distance, and because they're a little bit older, 5th grade, will be having their recess right at the end of the day, as they will also be self-dismissing. This will allow us to have full use of the playground, but still keep up with our social distancing norms. But lunch for everybody every day will be in their classrooms. We'll go into what that will look like. It'll be from 11:55 to 40, and then dismissal will now be from 2:30 from the auditorium. This is when buses will leave. I know that the upper schoolers their dismissal is 2:35, so it works out perfectly. If your middle schooler is picking up their younger sibling, they'll be downstairs 5 minutes after we are beginning our dismissal process from the auditorium. I know that was a problem before where we had a 15-minute difference between our dismissal times, but now that should be resolved. Just a reminder, all students K-8 will be fully remote on Wednesdays, and this will not change for the rest of the year. Now we just want to go into some of the things that we're doing. It's very similar to what we did in the fall when it comes to safety during hybrid learning, but we do have a few additional safety measures that could only be helpful. Again, just like the DOE, we are required to have mandatory COVID testing prior to going back into the building, and conducting random COVID testing of all staff and students throughout the school year. We are continuing to mandate our masks. We do have disposable masks and reusable masks to give to our students, but they must come into the building every day with a mask. If they drop it on the way to school, we of course will have extras at the entrance when you're coming in. We are going to continue our social distancing norms of 6 feet apart. We know that recently the CDC has named that students can be 3 feet apart, but the DOE has not given guidelines on what that will look like. And so we are going to continue with our 6 feet of social distancing within all classrooms and spaces in the building. We have plenty of hand sanitizer and sanitizing stations. But in addition, we have also added these really great air purifiers to every single room on top of a CO2 monitor that will allow us to ensure that all of the air is filtered. Windows, now that it's nice out, will remain open, as well as the doors to the classroom, so the airflow is constantly going through. Going back to COVID testing for hybrid students. Again, everybody that is hybrid is required to get a test before April 12th. If you're coming in on Thursday, you will satisfy that requirement by coming in and getting a COVID test with Lasante at Empower. The testing will happen on the first floor, and you will be able to enter from the Prospect Place side. But again, you must pre-register with the link for Lasante. We have about 70 students who are going to be coming through those 3 hours. It is first come, first serve. I don't think we're giving you a specific time, but you must have pre-registered. Otherwise, we cannot guarantee that you'll get a test. And that's because we do have a pretty high volume of students that we need to turn over in those 3 hours. After we all begin hybrid learning, there will be random testing that's happening throughout the year. You will be notified 7 days before the test is due. Given that we're testing about 50% of our population, you can expect to have to do a second test at least once a month, just so that we can get everybody in and randomly tested. We will be marking who is chosen for random testing, so you shouldn't see yourself getting a test randomly selected 1 week and then the following week getting randomly selected again. We're going to make sure that's not happening. And that's why we say you can expect it about once a month. Again, cannot stress this enough, because we cannot have you guys come in without this COVID test, without this consent form on April 12th. And there's 80 students coming in on April 12th. That is about about 60 students, but we need all 60 of you to have signed this consent form and either come on Thursday to get the COVID test with us or to show us proof. I will be sending emails to those of you who have indicated that you're getting a COVID test outside of Empower to remind you that you need to send us a picture. You can text it to us, you can email it to us, you can drop it off to us. We're in the building every single day this week. If you say you want to just you're passing by the school when you want to drop off the proof, that's totally fine too. But texting, emailing, dropping off at the school we'll be there from 8 to 3. Any of those would work. And that is if you are doing offsite testing, if you're going to New York City Health or you're going to CityMD. If you're choosing to do that, please make sure that you send us the proof of that test before April 12th. You have until April 12th. Again, with offsite testing, it's available pretty much everywhere. Some places require insurance, but the New York City Health and hospitals do not. So these are the places where that can happen. COVID tests have become really easy and really accessible. I haven't heard of anybody waiting more than 20 minutes right now. I can't promise that, but if this is the route that you are choosing, that is what I've been hearing of as of late. They will most likely give you a rapid test, so you'll know right away if your child is negative, and then they'll give in 24 hours. They should give you the PCR, which takes a little bit longer. But I do know that both of those tests are given each time.
Got it. Thank you, Steph, for that information. Before we dig into this,
Mhm.
give you time to breathe, maybe get some water, and to see if there's anyone who has any questions. Something came in the chat about the acceptance of insurance. Then to my understanding, Steph, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you have insurance, they'll take it, but then if you don't, they won't turn you away.
Exactly. Insurance. So just to explain, if you have insurance, your insurance is mandated to pay for the COVID test. I believe that it is still the case. No insurance can say I'm not paying for a COVID test. Impossible. But with Lasante, if you do not have insurance, they are still going to allow you to get a free test. You will not be paying for that test. But it helps them continue their nonprofit work as a health center to utilize insurance companies if their patients do have insurance. And so if you have insurance, please provide it. But if you don't, they're not going to turn you away or ask you to pay. Yes, I see someone said that initially we were working with another company. It was called Lab something. I can't even remember anymore, but they were, and that's why we switched out of it. They accepted most insurances, but they required insurance, or it was $140 a test, which was not super accessible and very stressful for everybody involved. And so with Lasante, they're actually right down the street. They're about a mile away from us. They have been great partners so far in just being able to create this pre-registration form and to also provide us with the ability to get our family's COVID tests, even if they do not have insurance. I know that somebody asked me to go back to the schedule slide. I will go back at the end of the presentation to what days everybody's coming in. I'm going to keep on going because we are getting close to that time. And there's few more slides. Actually, we've quite a few. So I'm going to really quick. Masks are required. Again, we know how to put them on. They must be over your nose and your mouth. We are going to be, in the next slide, I'll show you, we're going to be providing some mask breaks with some contingencies, but when you are in the building and when you are learning, masks should most of the time be covered from your nose and mouth. There is a few types of masks out there that are just not appropriate masks. They do not actually do what masks are supposed to do, which is prevent germs from, spreading. The mask with those little valves, I can't explain what those valves look like, but those are not allowed. Neck gaiters, they're not masks. Scarves or bandanas, anything that is not like against your chin and over your ears is essentially a no. And the thing with the little valve doesn't work either because it just spits the air right back out. But we will be providing some mask breaks. They will only be happening if you are physically distanced or you're standing in one place, you're not walking around, perhaps in the hallway where there won't be other people. When kids are taking off their masks, they should be taking them off from the straps. And then mask breaks will obviously be occurring when students are eating and drinking, or they need to change their masks, or they need to use a tissue, or there's some services that may require it for just learning. But if a student is asking for a mask break, we will have a safe space for them to take a mask break if they need it. Again, we're going to continue to have all of the PPE available for our staff and students. We do have disposable masks. We'll have gloves, paper towels, sprays, touchless sanitizers throughout the hallways and everywhere else. We will continue to have our 6 feet of social distancing. Most of the classrooms will have about 10 to 12 students. We have 2 rooms that allow for the capacity of about 19 students. So they'll have a few more, about 13 or 14. But that will still allow them to be at least 6 feet apart. And this will be both indoors and outdoors. And again, as I mentioned before, we do have air purifiers. They're industrial grade air purifiers. They work great to ensure that our air has both filtered out dust and odors or anything that might be going on in the school. And so they're just a great to have even before COVID. So I am glad that, you know, some of these safety and health measures are being taken because I think it's generally a good practice. And now we are going back into the building, and this has happened. What happens if there is a COVID case? This is why we do the random testing. It allows us to really catch things before they can really spread in the community. The DOE has been open since December, and they have had a number of times where our building has had to be closed. You know this because we are unable to then support you with getting tech exchanges and material exchanges. The way that this works is that with the random testing that we all submit, when a positive case comes up, we call the situation room, which is a DOE mandate. And then they determine and hold an investigation to figure out where this case came from. They will typically close the classroom. And then you will be notified via email, and so will our staff. If you had any contact with this with whoever it is, staff member, student, person who works in the building, you will also be notified. If there's 2 or more cases, we may have to close the entire school. This is something that Mayor de Blasio just decided he's going to ease up on. He hasn't explained how, but given that we are a building of Empower Upper, Empower Lower, and 394, that's a lot of people that almost never see each other. I have yet to see a 394 student, to be completely honest, because we are adhering to social distancing norms. No one is hanging out in the hallway, hanging out in the entrance. And that is to say that if there's 2 COVID cases in 394, it would be extremely precautious to close the whole building, given that I've never even seen the students there. But as soon as we know more about exactly what will constitute a closure of an entire building, we will let you know. We will continue to report on our end if we have any positive cases, both to you and our community and to the DOE and the situation room so that they can test. In the past, we did not have any COVID cases, and so I'm feeling confident that our community will remain safe. Going into student arrival, we will be continuing this daily survey and the temperature checks upon arrival. The link, I'm going to just start sending a link as a text message of that DOE health survey so that you can take it before you come into the building. This would be extremely helpful in order to avoid us getting a clog in the morning. So I will send you over that email, and you'll get it every day that your child is hybrid so that you can fill out the survey. And when you get to the door, you can show us and go right ahead inside.
To quickly jump in on that once again, to give you a breath, Steph. I think especially sometimes when it comes to in the fall, families coming, and then you have to take a picture, take the QR code and then go to the survey. And if you guys remember, that took a little while because sometimes your phone wasn't capturing the QR code, so on and so forth. So since this needs to happen the day that your child comes to school, it's probably a good rule of thumb is that as you're getting ready to do the survey then. So when you get to school, the survey is already completed, and then you could just show us the phone that has all the prints out. A couple of y'all were fancy and printed it out. Cool. That you could just show us the sign, the notification that will let us know that you've passed the DOE survey. So yeah, the more that you guys could do it the morning that you're coming to school and have it ready before you see myself and Steph's face in the morning outside at arrival is probably the easiest and the quickest way to make this arrival process quick and easy for everyone.
Yep. And our arrival is still on the Prospect Place side of arrival, and our dismissal will be from the courtyard. Going back to arrival. Unfortunately, we are still not allowed to have families entering the building at arrival. So this means that you can drop off your child outside. In the event that there's an emergency or something happens, there will be space for, if you ever need to come into the building for emergency situations, if your child is sick or they need to be picked up immediately. But those will be really rare and only when absolutely necessary. Otherwise, the building is not allowing anybody that is not a student or staff member inside the building. Again, morning meeting begins at 8:30. You have from 8 to 8:30 to get to the building. The sooner the better, so that your child can have breakfast, get settled in, and be ready for their day. If your student does not arrive by 8:30, they will be marked tardy. If it is 8:30 and our doors on the Prospect Place are locked, you will need to go to the main entrance on Rochester Avenue so that your child can get into the building, and they'll get a tardy pass and they'll go into class late. Going back to this point, Mr. Carrington, if you want to just step in here on the importance of coming in person if it is your in-person day.
Man, this is super important, Lisa, I'm telling you, because one, and super shout out to Miss G, this is hard work to pretty much take the model that we have been doing and come up with the version that it works for hybrid and remote students and make adjustments to enrichment and try to satisfy everyone's particular needs. I think if children don't come to school when they are hybrid, as I mentioned before, it makes learning difficult. And as the principal, I need to make sure that I'm creating the type of learning environment where learning flourishes. And if we have a scenario where we have 35 or pushing 40 students remotely, when we are only planning for 27, 28, that doesn't create the best learning environment for students. So if you're on this call and you selected hybrid instruction, the expectation is unless life is happening, and I get it, but if life isn't happening, the expectation is you're bringing your child to school on the designated days that you have hybrid learning. That will make my life easier. That will make Steph's life easier. And that will make our entire school lives easier, especially teachers, and especially with Teacher Appreciation Week coming up in a week. We're going to be hitting up parents soon about that. Yeah, we want to make sure that we are creating the type of learning environment that is best for students and making sure that hybrid students who have selected hybrid are coming into school on time at their designated days is one of the best ways you as a community can help us as a school make sure that we can end these last 8 to 9 weeks of the school year on the right foot, because how we end this school year is how we're going to start next school year. So that would just be my ask as the principal. If you selected hybrid, unless life has happened, please make sure that you're bringing your child to school on their designated days.
Again, with the daily screening questions, you'll get that in your inbox and text message on the days that you're coming into the building. There's less questions now as some of the restrictions have been taken off. Again, it's going to ask you if you've had a fever, if you've gotten a positive result in the past 10 days for COVID-19, and then if you have been in close contact with anyone who tested positive. Finally, the last question will be if you've traveled internationally, where you now do not need to quarantine if you are going within the United States. But we do highly suggest to still be extremely careful and mindful. It's not like COVID left. It feels like it has in some states, but it just hasn't. And so please be careful so that we can keep the community safe and keep the school open. Dismissal is at 2:30. As I said before, Dismissal for upper school is 2:35. There's a 5-minute difference, which will allow us all to keep socially distanced. You will need to pick up your child from the schoolyard. We will have somebody there who is fielding families. So you can just come up and tell the person who your child is, and we'll grab them and make sure that they come outside. Again, please don't crowd the area. We want everybody to be socially distant. And that way everyone can get their child and go home. Everyone will need to leave the courtyard immediately after being picked up. If students are self-dismissed, like in 5th grade, they will be asked to leave immediately. We cannot congregate. Buses will also depart at 2:30, between 2:30 and 2:35.
Steph, can I jump in real quick? Go back to that slide, and Steph, can you get a chance? Can you mute the parent whose microphone is unmuted, please? When it comes to dismissal, in a normal school year, kids will get dismissed, and then teachers may have a meeting. They could have time to plan, and they can do the various things they need to do in the classroom. Some teachers are in the building in a normal school year, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, doing the work that they need to do in order to make sure that they're creating the type of instruction that's necessary for your child. Now things are a little bit different, where all staff need to be out of the building by 3:15. So there were scenarios when we were in the building last year where life happened and families were not able to pick up their child on time. And then we had leaders in the building half an hour after dismissal, an hour after dismissal, waiting for families. Things like that can't happen anymore because the school building, our floor will need to be cleaned and everyone will need to be out of the building by 3:15. If we have dismissal at 2:30 and that ends at 2:45, then teachers need a chance to go back upstairs, get things settled and allocated and get out of the building, especially leaders. So if things are happening, please let us know as early as you can. If a train is stuck or if something's going on, but if you can you please make sure that you're at dismissal right at 2:30 so we can make sure kids are picked up on time and then teachers have enough time to do the things that they need to do without rushing, and especially leaders as well, without rushing and getting out of the building. It's just a rough way to end the day if we're getting a child picked up at 3:05 and then we have to rush upstairs and gather our things and then run out the door. But if you can, please make sure that at 2:30, at dismissal, you're there ready to pick up your child.
Going back to visitor policy, these meetings will continue to be virtual. No visitors are allowed to enter the building in case of emergency. Visitors must participate and pass our health screening, meaning that if you do need to come into the building, you will need to fill out the health survey and you will need to get your temperature checked. And that is, again, only in emergencies. They're really, really strict. If you've come to pick up materials, you know that you can't really go past the security guard. School meals. Everyone can participate in the school foods breakfast and lunch program at no cost. Even now, if you ever pass by the school, there's always somebody from the lunch staff there with breakfast and or lunch, depending on the time. So even if you're not in the building, you can always drop by to grab breakfast and or lunch. You guys can bring meals from home. We just asked, and we will make sure that students are not sharing food. All meals will be in the classrooms. Breakfast will be from 8 to 8:30 and lunch will be at 12 o'clock. We do highly recommend that your child brings a full bottle of water for the day. We do have cups in order for them to fill up with water if they need to, but we cannot let them use the water fountains. So again, they will have places to refill a water bottle and we will have cups, but it would be preferred for you guys to make sure that they have a water bottle with them.
Steph, let's keep it on the slide and I'll give you a chance to respond to the question that just popped up in the chat. Since we are talking about water, I think this would be a good segue to then also talk about bathroom, especially when it comes to our younger students, especially kindergarten, and potentially first will have an opportunity to practice the bathroom transition and learn the correct way to use the bathroom. The way the bathrooms are set up now is that there will be unisex bathroom. There will not be a boys and girls bathroom. They'll just be unisex. One student will be allowed in the bathroom at a time. there would be an adult who is in the hallway to be able to monitor bathroom use to make sure that students are safe, they're washing their hands thoroughly, and they are wearing their masks the right way. In the event, especially for our younger students, that students may have an accident, I think especially for our kinder and first grade families, you guys should send your child with a bag that will have underwear, pants, doesn't have to be school uniform, underwear, pants, socks, and a shirt in the event your child has an accident. There were some friends who had an accident in the fall. Generally speaking, this would be a good push for you as parents. Hey, remind your child, if you need to use the bathroom, especially for the younger students, raise your hand and ask so the teacher can send you. Our bathrooms are not far from where classrooms are. Students can get there in a decent amount of time, but I just wanted to make sure that we reassure parents that there'll be someone monitoring the bathroom. There'll be one person at the bathroom. Our younger students will practice how to use the bathroom, but yes, students will have an opportunity when they need to, with the pass, to go to the bathroom whenever they need.
I've been saying a lot in the chat when it comes to allergies. As long as we know of your child's allergy, we make sure that we notify anyone that is working with your child. Now, the last thing I was going to write, and this is important, if you are returning to the building and your child has asthma or they have an EpiPen, just like every year, we will need to get that form from your doctor that is signed that allows us to give that child that medication and to have that medication with our nurse's office. And so that hasn't changed. And so if you do have a student that will need their asthma medicine administered, please let us know. And we do have the forms that we can have you send home or just please let us know. But in terms of keeping kids safe from things that they're allergic to, like I said, we really do make sure to let families, the teachers know and monitors know. And most of the food that the cafeteria gives is allergy friendly, except for milk if you're lactose intolerant. I do want us to get to this slide on school uniforms because this has been a major question. Jonathan, do you want to take this one?
Yes, I got it. I think one thing that we wanted to do is be understanding and empathetic that things are happening. There are some families who haven't had an opportunity to buy new school uniforms in a while, and kids are growing. So I think we created a policy just for the rest of this school year to incorporate our expectations and balance out life is happening. So students should come to school in their normal Empower School polo and navy blue pants. But for the rest of this school year, students can come to school in Power Polo and a pair of jeans, no rips. Or students can come to school in a navy blue, solid white, solid gray t-shirt, uniform pants, or jeans, no rips. So I get it. If your child's polo shirt, a little young, I get it. Kid grew, haven't had a chance to buy a new polo. Completely understand. The next thing is check the closet to see if you have a solid gray, navy blue, or white t-shirt and a pair of pants or jeans. Once again, this will only be the policy for the rest of this school year. Once we get back into the building in August, it's going to be normal, 5 days a week, full school uniform.
Hey guys, can I add some stuff
Yes.
to kindergarten? Hi everyone. Kindergarten parents, please make sure you bring a change of clothes, underwear, just in case there is an accident that we have another bag of clothes that we can change your child into. So just please make sure you pack an extra bag of clothes for your child, kindergarten parents.
Also on that bag, can you please write your child's first and last name to ensure that that accident pack does not get confused with any other child? So once again, accident pack, underwear, pants, socks, shirt, and a bag that is closed. And please write your child's first and last name on that bag.
And again, while the policy is a little relaxed, the major things we really want to avoid is any ripped jeans, any super graphic or distracting clothing. That's why it's, plain, as similar as possible to the uniform, but not necessary to go out and buy a uniform now that your child will just grow out of. With that, the last couple of slides are just some things that your child should be bringing to school. 1st through 5th grade, laptop, charger, headphones, and refillable water bottle. I will say we will have headphones that are for each individual student, Ziploc bag that will stay in the building. So if they're in the building and they need headphones, they will have those, and they will be just for them for this school year, but they will have to stay in the building. K-2, again, refillable water bottle for them as well. And then K-5, an additional sweater and book bags in their book bags, so that in case they get cold. Again, we do have to keep the windows open in order to keep the air circulation and airflow. It is getting much, much warmer, and so it likely won't be very cold in the classrooms. If not, it will probably be hot. But nonetheless, we want to make sure that your kids are comfortable. All materials will be kept at your child's desk during the day. We will have things available to loan out, including laptops, as needed, but please, in order to help with sanitizing efforts, it would be ideal if everyone brought the things that they already have at home. And this is specific for K-2. Many of you guys have been coming in to pick up materials throughout the school year. And so many of you do have these books at home already. If you haven't been able to pick them up, or you just don't have them, we do have extras in the classrooms. But in order to just not be super wasteful, we want those of you that have picked them up to please bring the following units for skills and math in K-2. Again, this is where I know that you guys have gotten lots of books. You have all the books until the end of the year, but on April 12th, kindergarten is going to be in skills unit 8, 1st grade will be in skills unit 5, and 2nd grade will be in skills unit 5. And then for math, kindergarten is in math unit 8, 1st grade math unit 7, 1st grade is math unit 8, and 2nd grade is in math unit 7. That's so that you're not making, the little guys go in with like 10 books. I know those books are heavy. You guys have picked them up. You only need to bring 2 books if you've already picked them up. If you can't bring them, that's okay. We do have extras. But we're very excited to see you. I know that we're all itching to get out of the house, and it is always a nice change of pace and really nice to see students when they're in the building. And so we'll see many of you this Thursday, again, from 12 to 3, first come, first serve, the earlier the better. Make sure you pre-register. I can't guarantee you getting in, and submit that testing consent commitment form by April 12th. We're way over time, but if there's any questions, please let us know. We will send this recording out to families that, missed part of it, or weren't able to make it.
I have a question. So if your child is doing full remote, and then something changes and they have to go into hybrid, would you guys accept them like on short notice? Or I asked that question before and then I never really got an answer.
It's a complicated question. So we ideally want, our number one priority is to keep everybody safe. Our second priority is to adhere to social distancing rules. And there are currently certain grades where we have 2 classrooms and they're both full, meaning there's 12 students in them and that is the limit. But there's a couple of grades where there's 2 classrooms and one class is 12 students and one of them is 10 students, meaning there's a baby bit of wiggle room where we could, in that specific grade, accept the student. And there might be some people that change to fully remote for whatever reason as the time goes on, right? And so that's why there's not a good answer, because it depends on the grade and it depends on the time. And that's why we say, like, once the learning mode decision has been made and you have made it, that was back in the end of January or I can't even remember when we asked for the final one anymore. That really is going to be the final decision, except in extreme circumstances or if there's a situation where something happened. And so we try to be as flexible as possible. But you know, it's not like we're going to let people come in or out as they please, because again, for planning purposes, for safety purposes, it's not just a 1, 2, 3 thing. It's a, what materials do we need? Where can we place them? What does this mean for the remote teachers? Like how many students will they have? And so, you know, please reach out to us as early as possible if that is something you are considering. And I can tell you right away, there's some grades where it's just a no, because there's no space, but in other grades, there might be a spot or two.
Okay, but then there's the thing, like, you know, if somebody comes to school with the COVID and then there's a child like you did hybrid, so then you guys close down the school and then we have to make arrangements to do it remote again. So you find it has to be like both ways, because some people work and they need to find people to, you know, be home with the kids. If they're remote, it's not everybody who has that kind of help. So it's a little bit
Right.
difficult, you know, to make those decisions. But
Yeah.
you know, there's a possibility, you know, there's people working and you know they want to do that decision, but it's difficult at the same time. So, you know, if my child can come back remote, then you know, I don't know what to do. Maybe, you know, find another school to put her in and they're gonna accept her. It comes to that too.
And so is it that you want to go hybrid? I'm confused on where.
I'm supposed I have been working remotely, but then there's the possibility that sometime in May that I may have to go back.
Mhm. I see.
So I couldn't make that
Right.
decision right now.
Right. No, and I mean, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Right. We can't say, well, it's an open door, only because there's a limit to it. But as we said to an earlier parent who was having trouble because he has 3 kids and they're all coming in at different days, we will work with you. And I think that is a great example of something that, you know, we totally understand. Right. And so if you have to go back into work and you can no longer support your child at home, then we will, of course, support you. But we just want to avoid people being like, oh, today I feel like being hybrid. Oh, tomorrow I don't. Because that's going to be really difficult and not good for anyone, not just your child, but like other people's children to have that kind of flip-floppiness. But obviously, now people with the vaccine are being asked to go back into work. And so we do recognize that those things happen and work with you.
Yeah, so I think even with that situation, if life is happening and then, hey, remote isn't an option in May, have communication with teachers and us in operations and leadership, and then we can figure out a plan to make this work for you for the rest of the year.
I'm only asking because I think when you guys send the last thing for the hybrid, I asked this question and like, you know, I never really got an answer that was good for me. So that's why I'm asking again. So I need to know what to do because I don't have the kind of help. So she's home like remotely. If I'm here, it's fine. But if I have to go back into work, definitely she's gonna have to go back into school.
Got it. So then when you have a particular date when you need to go back to work, as soon as you know, let us know, and then we'll to game plan with you when it comes to coming up with a plan.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I know it's kind of late and we all want to go. Would you ever consider doing a remote learning center at Empower instead of Excel, like having one specifically on site?
Who is your child? Remind us again.
I'm Ethan's mom. Ethan.
Yeah, so this is something Jonathan, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, if it's hey, my child is coming in, Ethan's fourth grade, that's Thursday and Friday, and you want in the scenario where he comes into the building on Monday and Tuesday, then we have our Empower Learning Center where he won't see a direct teacher, but he'll be in a room, laptop, headphones, and he'll be in a classroom for those 2 days. So for Ethan, if you want to make the choice, Thursday, Friday, in a classroom learning with the rest of the fourth grade students, Monday, Tuesday, in a different classroom in our learning center, laptop, headphones, listening to his fourth grade teachers. If that is something that can work for you, then we just got to check our learning center numbers for Monday and Tuesday, but potentially that could work for you.
Okay.
Is Facely's dad still here?
I
I
don't,
think I see him. Yeah, he's here.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dad, you wanted a situation where your youngest son is here 4 days a week, but Facely is here only 2 days a week. Would a scenario where Facely comes to school 4 days a week work for you? Let me know if you need me to repeat that question for you, Dad.
Hello?
Dad, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, I'll ask the question again. I'll say, because the situation you brought up before, because your youngest son is coming in 4 days a week and Facely is only coming in 2 days a week. Well, it'd be
yes,
easier for you if Facely came in 4 days a week.
yes, it's gonna work for me.
Got it. So then Facely, same situation with Ethan. So Facely, 4 days a week, he comes in Thursday and Friday. Facely can also, got to check the numbers first, can also come in Monday and Tuesday with his laptop, headphones for our
Yes,
Power Learning Center. So then
Okay,
you
no.
have both of your boys 4 days a week and makes it easier to pick them up.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yes.
Please, my name is Miss Sanya. Please, can they do that for Amarachi too?
Well, it depends. Hold on now. It depends on.
That's why I didn't want to open up this can of worms.
It
That's why I said, Mr.
depends.
Carrington, you can answer these.
Oh, Amarachi's. Oh, wait. Amarachi's in 5th grade.
Yes.
Got it. So that means
That one's a little easier for sure.
yes, she'll be in the building Monday, Tuesday, and then our learning center for 5th grade. We have that can work because we only have 4 5th graders, and I think 3 or 4 3rd graders. And I need to see how many 1st graders. So you're on hold too, because we have to check the numbers to make sure, because we can't have more than 12 kids in that room. So we
Okay.
check to see how many we have in that room, and then we'll let you know. Facely, that we're gonna check the numbers.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ethan, Facely, and Amarachi, we're gonna check the numbers and get back to you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I have a question about the uniform. In case if they have uniform, they can wear the uniform?
Oh, they can.
Steph, can you go back to the slide? 'Cause maybe mom came on late.
Huh?
We have a slide that talked all about.
Because
I'm muted. No,
put a little bit
there we go.
because
So it will be full school uniform, Empower polo and
Yes.
pants. But if life is happening and for some reason we can't get to do laundry, if they have the Empower shirts, they can wear a pair of jeans with that. Or if it's a big laundry day, your child can come in with a solid navy blue, a solid gray, or a solid white shirt and the uniform pants or jeans with no rips.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Thank you.
No
so much.
problem.
I said I would go back to the slide earlier. Aiden's mom's still here. Oh, she is. Okay, good. Here's the slide. I'm gonna stop the recording because this is gonna be a very important.